Hello, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome back to the hit, exciting podcast show, GGC's first ever podcast series, the Grizzly Talk Podcast. I'm your host, Kennedy Patterson. Welcome back. We're streaming now on iTunes, IHeart Radio, and Spotify, alongside with Google Podcasts. So welcome back to the podcast, ladies and gentlemen. You guys have been amazing. You guys have been really amazing with us, reaching over 800 followers right now. We're booming up for you guys. We had a lot of good things coming out this week. This week is a week of podcasting for us here at Grizzly Talk Podcast, simply because, there's so many podcast recordings that we've got going on this week. Of course, we did OLAS this week, which you guys can go check that podcast out. It is out now. It's called Somos Uno. That's the name of the podcast show. We introduced the vice president and president of OLAS, and we were able to have a good conversation on the podcast for sure. So if you guys haven't seen it yet, go check it out right now after you're listening to this podcast. Check that podcast out. We talk about so many good things. We're talking about the meaning of their slogan, their business cards. We even talk about tacos in that podcast. So again, I recommend you guys check that out. And if you guys haven't noticed, of course, the new intro is called Grizzly Growl. It's Grizzly Growl. I was in my studio and I was building the music, and we had a lot of good responses for that. A lot of people love the new intro theme music. So just a little something that I wanted to throw in a little special. And of course, my magazine line, Element Magazine, for October, we're going to be rolling that out, the road to 1,000. The key purpose of that, because we're at over 800, and our goal is to reach 1,000 followers on Instagram. So if you guys listening to us right now, make this happen. Hit that follow button for us. It's Grizzly_Talk. Again, that's Grizzly_Talk is the name of our Instagram. We're on the road to 1,000 followers, so we cannot wait to hit that number. We're going to do a big celebration for that, and it's just going to be very amazing. So let's get on to the Grizzly news for you guys. Again, there's a lot that's going on this week. If you haven't seen it yet, of course, on the GGC's Instagram page at Georgia Gwinnett. Of course, our good friends, Georgia Gwinnett College Outdoor Adventures, they're having zip lining. They're going to be doing that October 5th, 2019, of course. The space is limited and it only costs $35, like we mentioned on their podcast, with their events having a lot of events for like $35. So it's really good. You can't beat it. You can't beat it, that $35 mark. So please get ready for that. And our other good friends, the podcast we just did, of course, OLAS will be having their one of their events, Arte Latino, at the Student Plaza on October 3rd. So if you guys are ready for that, please sign up, join their event for that. For sure. I think it's Grizzly Fest that's coming up next week, for sure. So we can't wait for that. I can't wait to see the development for that. And good people for the Student Dance Association, they have their weekly meetings. This meeting starting at Friday, September 27th, 10:30 to 11:30 in the fitness center. All levels are welcome. Please, if you want to be Aspire GGC, you want to learn the dance moves and become a dancer, I recommend that for sure. Please go check them out, because it's going to be amazing to see what they do. We're going to get them on the podcast very soon. So I cannot wait for their podcast. Their podcast is going to be one for the ages for sure. And of course, SGA, they're celebrating the Green Jacket Day. By the time you're hearing this podcast, we're doing another kind of spin-off podcast for the SGA, receiving of the jackets, the green jackets for the officers of SGA. So a lot of things going on for that, for sure. And I'm just so stoked to see about that. Get ready, y'all, for Level 1 Game Room. Of course, at their Instagram is lvl1.gameroom, Level 1 Game Room. They have the FIFA tournament, the annual FIFA tournament's coming back this fall. You guys can see their announcements right now for that. See their announcements for sure, because they have a lot of announcements in terms of the FIFA tournament is coming up really soon. If you're an aspiring FIFA player, I recommend it. I remember 2 years ago, they did a partnership with GGC Athletics. They had the men's and women's soccer teams to come out and to play FIFA and to really interact with the students on campus. I wonder if they're doing that again this year. I believe they should. I'm not too sure if they're doing that again this year or not, but that year was very fun to do for sure. Of course, if you're interested in joining the Greenlight and learning more about the organization, I recommend you guys doing that. It's GGC Greenlight. My brother was a part of Greenlight a couple years back. You guys can join their organization for sure. Greenlight is one of that RSOs that it's really impactful to GGC. Greenlight is one of the biggest RSOs that we have on campus for sure. Greenlight, they do a lot of great stuff. So I'm eager and I'm excited to see what else new things they're doing for this year. You can come join their body meeting. Of course, it's every first and third Tuesday of the month in the B building in room B 1900. Again, that's B 1900. Starting at 2:15. There's a lot of meetings that go around 2 because that's our grace period. That's the period where there's not really classes going on. So I recommend that for sure. It's going to be amazing for sure. As part of Greenlight, they're doing the Jam in Java. That event's been going around a long time, and I can't wait for that. It's next Monday, I believe. You say 5 days from now. So I believe next Monday, Jam in Java is going to be in the level 1 game room as well. So it's good to see that they're expanding out with their organizations, and I can't wait to see more developments. I can't wait to see what Jam in Java will become for you guys. For sure. So that's going to do it for this week's announcements for the Grizzly Talk Podcast. Hopefully you guys enjoyed this week. Of course, we're going to have many other podcasting episodes. GGC Res Live, we're going to be doing their podcast, and a very special podcast of Nika Williams. She will be coming on the Grizzly Talk Podcast to advocate and educate us on Sickle Cell Awareness Month. Again, one podcast that is very important to do for sure is have a GGC student come in and educate us on a big topic like Sickle Cell Awareness Month, and I can't wait to get her on podcast, to interview her and to really get her into the podcast for sure. That's going to be very impactful, and hopefully you guys tune into that podcast. If you haven't listened to any other podcast, that would be the one that I would recommend you listening to for sure. So that's going to do it for the Grizzly Talk Podcast. I'm your host, Kennedy Patterson. I will see you guys in the next podcast.